fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
So when is the last time you remember seeing those rock groins and wooden bulkheads along the northern Ocean County beaches? It's been a while, but those last few nor'easters we've had here during the winter of 2021 have exposed some hidden treasures along the beach here in Bayhead in particular. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. This happens to be my home stretch, not far from my house, right here at the north side of Bayhead. You can see it almost looks like the cliffs of Moher, right? I did see that the governor just recently announced that he wants the federal government to come in here and do something about this terrible beach erosion. But I gotta tell you, it's kind of funny. When you see all these old rock groins where we used to fish years ago, it's not as if these were somewhere higher up years ago. That's exactly where they were, and all that sand they deposited, beach replenishment over the last number of years. You know where it is? South of here. I was able to get access here on the beach in Bayhead towards the southern end, and there's a lot more sand. But I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of great structure here along the beach. We'll see if it's still there. We'll see what happens with future replenishment efforts here in New Jersey, sort of like shoveling sand into the wind. But I would highly recommend that. This is a good time of year. Find a nice day to get out for a nice long walk on the beach, preferably at low tide, because you can certainly see how the winter storms have affected the bottom structure. So as you're ramping up for the 2021 striper season or fishing for fluke, I'll tell you, the way this looks now would be great fluke fishing because there's a lot of divots and holes and sandbars. Very effective. But get out there and scout. Do it now. It's the time. We got to prep. I don't know if this weekend is the special weekend where you're going to drag the significant other up along the beach. We're expecting lower temperatures into the 20s for this weekend coming up, and a little precipitation in the forecast as well for Saturday and Sunday along the coast. Anyway, of course, so many places in the region, inland, up in northwest Jersey, out into the Poconos, you get so much more snow, but these warmer ocean water temperatures keep us lower in the snow division, but we are expecting a little bit of cold this weekend, so keep that in mind. Midweek NOAA forecast, northeast winds through Sunday. Wave heights not too bad into Friday, but they are expected to build Saturday and Sunday. While I was doing this, I saw one of the boats heading out of Manasquan, one of the head boats heading off. It looked like the Jamaica 2. I know the Jamaica 2 is still sailing for blackfish when she gets a chance, getting an opportunity at some ling on that vessel as well. I know the Ocean Explorer out of Belmar continues to sail as well, but for the most part, not too many boats sailing in the state of New Jersey right now. You do have blackfish until the end of February. That's in New Jersey and Delaware as well, but just finding boats at this point who are going to be running offshore. Most of the hardcore captains have taken this opportunity to pull out, do that regular maintenance, that Coast Guard inspection that they need to get ramped up for that spring action. And I would remind you that as of this Monday, we are just 14 days until soaking bloodworms along the sod banks in New Jersey for striped bass. This February 15th, that marks just 14 days until that season opens. But until March 1st, it's really about white perch. Bloodworms have been getting it done for white perch in areas, the Toms River, up along the Raritan, of course, as well. The Mullica, Great Egg, down along the tributaries off of the Delaware, which includes the Cohansey and the Morris as well. If you're looking for bloodworms, calling around to some of the shops earlier this week to find out, what limited report action we could find. I know that Akira's got it, some bloodworms at True World Tackle in Bayonne. You can check in with Hook House in Toms River. Dave at Absecon Bay Sportsman, he'll carry you throughout the entire winter. And I believe Bucktails Outfitters down in Mays Landing if you were looking to soak some bloods along the bulkhead as well. Of course, don't forget, pretty soon everybody's going to be getting those bloodworms from Maine, stocking them in their shops for the March 1st opener for striped bass. Just don't forget, we will have to have circle hooks in 2021. So if you're heading out March 1st for striped bass, you got to transfer over to the circle hooks. No word yet from any of the manufacturers on bait holder style rigs on those circle hooks. You know, those little barbs on the shank to hold those bloodworms in place. I understand Eagle Claw is working hard to get them in shops. We'll let you know as soon as we find out more on that. But we did, of course, cover that Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission discussion last week. Toby and I sat through the discussion. There is more to the discussion. Get the full details. Toby wrote that up for the Fisherman.com this week. He talked about the ASMSC talking in circles, but there's definitely that tube and worm rig discussion and exemption along the coast. And again, states are going to be talking about the definition of bait, meaning does pork rind count, and what about rig deals? Here in New Jersey, I hope to hear more from the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife and their top secret division on public affairs. They're pretty tight-lipped. We don't want to let international trade secrets out, but I would expect that we'll have some meetings in the public venue sometime this spring to talk more about that circle hook discussion and how it applies. But again, if you're going to be gearing up for that March 1st opening for striped bass, bloodworms, clams, sandworms, whatever, if you're using natural bait, you're going to have to use the circle hook. Otherwise, outside of that, really not too much to talk about. The white perch and those limited boats going offshore, just looking forward to spring. But holdover trout has been keeping a lot of folks with a bend in the line. I know my buddy Jimmy O'Donnell, he's been out running around throughout the state, finding some open water, some good-sized trout still holding over. I saw this beauty from James Holland at Shannon's Fly Shop too. He got one of his first for the month of February. So that still is the best option. The only thing to consider is when that snow starts to melt. If you're in an area where you've got a lot of snow, if you start getting rain or you get that melt, it's going to cloud the water. But you're looking for some of that gin clear water, good opportunities to throw some spinners and flies to get yourself on some of those open water trout. In our fishing reports this week, it sounds like Bud Lake, Hepatkong, Musconetcong, a couple of the good opportunities for you hard water, hardcore anglers want to stand around a hole in the ice. There are some hard water opportunities, and again, we are expecting some more cold coming in from Canada, from the north. Expected to be another cold snap this weekend. So if you're looking for some ice fishing opportunities, they are there. I will tell you, my prayers and condolences to my very good friend George Shower, the Pocono Outdoors. George suffered a significant family loss last week. Our hearts are with you, George. Anything that you need. But George is no video this week. George hopes to return next week. But again, prayers and condolences to you, my friend. We are here. Other than that, we had our first winter workbench series with Matt Broderick, our Long Island edition managing editor. Last week, he was talking about rod wraps. A lot of folks really like that, so we're giving you a secondary dose. We'll keep doing some winter workbench stuff. Matt's going to be talking trim bands here. I'll finish it off. Get yourself into the workbench. And again, we're just about 2 weeks from the striped bass opening in New Jersey. Catch them up. We'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.
Because you asked for it, here's my next installment from the Rod Building and Repair series. We'll be demonstrating here how to put trim bands on your guide wraps. There would be the little, in this case, silver thread in front of the actual guide wrap. It's really straightforward. You need the same tools. It's just one extra step as opposed to wrapping a regular guide. So just watch along and I'm going to talk you guys through it. So first thing we're going to do is take our guide here. Same step as wrapping a guide. Make sure your rod is straight with the reel seat lining up with the guide. Take our guide. Tape it on the blank. All right, that's all done. So a little different from wrapping a regular guide. The first step we're going to do here, instead of going with the black thread, is we're going to go with the silver thread. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to find where we want that band to start. Okay, so I want this wrap to be 1.25 inches. Okay, so I have an idea of where it's going to be. Keep that ruler in handy. Take a little piece of tape like that. Now we're going to take our silver thread first. Tape to the back side. Okay, now we're going to spin it down the blank. I think we're coming up on that 1.25 inch mark. And that's 1.25 inches right there from the bend of the foot. Okay, so we're gonna spin the same way we put like black thread on for regular guide wrap. Go over it, and we're gonna do a three band here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's 3 wraps over the point where we go over the original thread. We'll take off our tape, unwrap this, keep it nice and tight with the other hand, just so nothing comes undone. Okay, and we have this little excess right here. What I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to trim that off. Okay, so we have our band in place. Now we're just going to wrap this way, go back on top of itself so it locks it in 1, 2 times. So now that's locked in, that trim band. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take another piece of tape, a little bigger, just like that, and we're going to tape over that silver thread. The tape, come on the bottom, snip, spin, and that's in place. All right, so our trim band's in place. Next step is pretty straightforward. Take another piece of tape. Going to take our black thread now. Again, tape to the back side of the guide. We're going to spin. Now this is where we lock in that silver thread. Go over the silver. Right about there we want to cross. We're going to go, keep going, keep going. Make sure it goes over that silver band, back over the black band. 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so that's locked in. We're gonna undo our black thread. Undo our silver thread. Now, here's what I like to do to make sure that the silver thread doesn't peek through on the actual guide wrap. What I'll do is, if you see right here, let me see if I can get it up for you guys. This silver still peeks through on the black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my silver thread, pull it a little bit, push it together, pull it until it disappears. We're almost there. And there we go. So now it's just pure silver, nothing peeking through. Nice and clean wrap. Make sure everything's nice and tight. One more wrap, we'll go around, make sure everything's nice and looks good. All right, so now everything's perfect. Now at this point, we're gonna trim away our silver, or spin, and we're gonna trim away our black thread. And at this point, it's really straightforward. You just wanna keep wrapping like a regular guide. Again, go slow up the foot. Make sure it transitions nice and smoothly. At this point, we can unwrap our guide with the tape. Proceed. Mistake, back off. If you do make a mistake and you want to back off, just make sure you unspool back onto your thread spool. And at this point, we're going to want to put in our ending thread, which will be this one right here. Double it in half, put it on the back side. And we're going to wrap about 1/8 of an inch. All right, that's about good. Pinch it down, snip, black thread goes through this loop. Tighten it up. Take a little razor blade, as close as we can get. And that's it. There you go, guys. Make sure everything is nice and tight. And there you have it. That's how you put a trim band on a guide.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.